Welcome to the Marketing Execution Podcast. This is the show for tech founders and leaders building B2B products and technologies. We show you how to go further, faster to get the business results you need.
From strategies to big except dreams, catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Recently, I learned that the average lifespan of a successful business model is less than 5 years. Yet many companies still cling to outdated strategies that actually stifle innovation. It's strange but true, and I am still trying to figure out why this is. Today, we're examining how to leverage the business model canvas best to create a sustainable competitive advantage by effectively aligning your business elements. Provided you listen to the end, you'll learn a proven framework for revitalizing your business model, including identifying customer segments, optimizing touch points, and developing a compelling value proposition. You can begin transforming your approach to market success in just a few actionable steps. Drawing from my experience scaling tech startups, we'll explore strategies that deliver measurable impact. Subscribe to the Marketing Execution Podcast for weekly insights on scaling tech companies, and join our community for more resources on effective marketing execution strategies. I'm Mark Donegan, and alongside my co-hosts Tim and Lisa, we look forward to guiding you on the business model generation journey.
Hey everyone, and welcome back for another deep dive. We're going to be tackling business model generation today, a book that's become pretty much legendary in the business world. And for good reason too. It's jam-packed with insights that can help you understand how businesses really tick, from your local mom and pop shop all the way up to the biggest tech giants.
It's true, and it's become a classic for a reason. This book gives you a framework for understanding the DNA of any business.
Which is exactly what we're here to do today, right? To give you the need-to-know info from business model generation so you can walk away with some seriously practical knowledge. You know I like to jump right in, so how about we talk about the authors for a sec? Alexander Osterwalder and Yves Pigneur. These guys aren't just academics, they're the real deal, experts in business strategy and innovation.
And what's really wild is they didn't just lock themselves in a room and write this thing alone. They got 470 practitioners from 45 different countries to collaborate. You're talking about a global brain trust.
Right. Talk about tapping into real-world experience, people on the front lines of business. Okay, let's get to the heart of the book here. The business model canvas. Imagine a tool, like a blueprint, but visual, that helps you wrap your head around any business, how to understand it, design it, or even analyze it. That's the business model canvas.
It might sound kind of simple on the surface, but trust me, this canvas is a game changer. It takes a business and breaks it down into 9 key elements, and when you see those all lit out, it's like, boom, you suddenly get how each piece of the puzzle fits.
So it's like having X-ray vision into a business. You're not just seeing the finished product, you're seeing how it works on the inside. The skeleton, the guts, all of it.
Exactly. And just like our bodies, where every system is connected, right? When you change one thing in a business model, it can create this ripple effect on everything else.
Okay, that's seriously cool. But before we get ahead of ourselves, let's break down these 9 elements. What exactly are we talking about when we're looking at this business model canvas?
Okay, so picture a grid with 9 squares. Each square is like a building block of a business. First up, customer segments. Who exactly is the business trying to reach? Then value propositions. What's the thing they're offering that's unique, that's valuable to each of those segments?
So far, it's all about the customer, which makes sense. I mean, you can't have a business without someone buying what you're selling.
100%. Then we've got channels. How does the business actually reach those customers? How do they interact with them? And then you've got customer relationships. How do they build and keep those connections strong?
It's like building a relationship with a friend, right?
Yeah.
Got to communicate, be reliable, offer something they actually want.
I love that analogy. Now, let's peek into the engine room of the business. We've got key resources. These are the essential assets. It could be amazing technology, a crazy talented team, even just a killer location. Then there are key activities, the crucial things the business does to deliver that value proposition we were talking about. Think manufacturing, marketing, actually providing a service.
It's all about what they rock at, their core strengths.
You got it. And to make that happen, you need key partnerships. That's their network. Suppliers, collaborators, people they team up with to make the business thrive.
Because Let's be real, no business is an island. Got to collaborate.
100%. Okay, now the juicy part. Revenue streams. How does the business actually make money? And just as important, cost structure. What are the big expenses?
So it's not just about making money, it's about doing it in a way that lasts, right? Got to know where it's coming from, where it's going.
You nailed it. And when you've got all those elements laid out in front of you, that's when you start to grasp the delicate balance that makes a successful business tick.
It's like a well-oiled machine, everything working together in perfect sync. But knowing about these 9 elements, that's just step 1. I think it would be really helpful to see how all this plays out in real life.
Totally agree. The book does a great job of going beyond just defining these elements. It digs into those common patterns, those formulas that successful businesses tend to follow. Think of them like blueprints that give you a framework, but there's plenty of room to customize, to innovate, to make it your own.
Now we're talking. So it's not about copying someone's business move for move, but using these patterns as inspiration, right? And then adapting them to your own unique vision. Can you give us a few examples of these patterns, these like blueprints for success?
Absolutely. One that immediately comes to mind is the unbundled model. Remember those 3 distinct categories we talked about? Product innovation, customer relationships, and infrastructure management. Well, unbundling is about recognizing that trying to be a master of all 3 can actually hold a company back.
So instead of spreading yourself thin, you hone in on your strength and then maybe partner up for the rest, recognizing you don't have to do it all yourself.
Exactly. A perfect example of this is Apple. They're amazing at product innovation. Think about those sleek gadgets we're all obsessed with. But they also prioritize those customer relationships, right? With their Apple stores, the whole seamless iCloud experience.
They've got those distinct but connected elements humming along together. They've essentially unbundled different parts of their business to focus on what they're best at.
Precisely. And speaking of finding your niche, let's talk about the long tail model. Before online giants like Amazon came along, bookstores, they could only carry so many books, right? They had to focus on the bestsellers, the sure things. But Amazon changed the game.
Oh, absolutely. You're familiar with Amazon now, but think about how revolutionary they were. They weren't held back by physical shelf space. They could offer a massive selection.
Exactly. They embraced the long tail, offering tons of niche books, the kinds of books that would never stand a chance in a regular bookstore because the demand seemed too small.
So instead of just catering to the masses, they tapped into this whole world of specialized interests.
Right. They understood that even if those individual markets were smaller, when you put them all together, it's a huge opportunity.
It's like what might be one person's obscure hobby could be your goldmine.
No, you're getting it. Let's switch gears to a model that's everywhere today, the free business model. Now, I know what you're thinking, free. How can you make money by giving stuff away? But trust me, there's a method to this.
I'm definitely intrigued. Break it down for us. What are some examples of these free business models that actually work?
A classic one is the freemium model, like what Evernote does. They give you a basic service, totally free, to get you to try it out. But then you've got the option to upgrade to get a premium version with more bells and whistles.
So it's like a little taste, a way to get your foot in the door, and then you wow them with the premium stuff. I've totally done that, upgraded to the paid version of an app after getting hooked on the free one.
Exactly. That free version, it's like a magnet, brings in tons of users, and then some of them decide to level up, become paying customers.
Makes total sense. It's a win-win. Users get to test the waters, and the company, they get a shot at turning those users into loyal paying customers.
And another popular free model is what Facebook does. They offer a free service, social networking, but then they generate revenue through advertising.
Of course, because they've got that massive user base, makes them super attractive to advertisers who want to get their message in front of as many eyes as possible.
You got it. With free models, the key is finding that sustainable way to make money from that free offering, whether it's through those ads, premium subscriptions, even strategic partnerships.
It's all about hitting that sweet spot between giving users something valuable for free and making sure the business can keep the lights on.
Absolutely. It's a balancing act, but when it's done right, it can be incredibly effective.
Okay, I'm really starting to see how these business model patterns can be like a secret weapon for entrepreneurs and businesses of all sizes. But before we go any further, there's one pattern we haven't touched on yet, the multi-sided platform model.
You're right, that's an important one, especially in today's interconnected world. Think of companies like eBay, Airbnb, or even Uber. They don't just connect buyers and sellers, they create a whole ecosystem where different groups interact and create value for each other.
So instead of a straight line from business to customer, it's more like a bustling marketplace with multiple players interacting and benefiting from the platform. What I find fascinating is that these platforms often don't produce or own the goods and services being exchanged. They facilitate the connection.
Exactly. And that's where their value lies, in creating that space, that network effect, where the more users they have, the more valuable the platform becomes for everyone involved.
It's like a snowball effect. The bigger the platform gets, the more attractive it becomes to new users, and the cycle continues.
Precisely. Now, another pattern that's worth exploring is the open business model. This one might seem counterintuitive at first because it involves sharing what many businesses consider their most valuable assets, their knowledge, their technology, or even their customer base.
Okay, I'm listening. Why would a business willingly give away what seems like their secret sauce?
That's the beauty of the open model. Sometimes, by opening up and collaborating, you can achieve far more than you ever could alone. Take the open source software movement, for example.
Right, like Linux. It's free to use, modify, and distribute, and it's become one of the most successful operating systems in the world.
Exactly. And that success is largely due to the power of collaboration. Thousands of developers worldwide have contributed to its development, making it incredibly robust and adaptable.
So it's like tapping into a global brain trust, harnessing the collective intelligence of a community.
Precisely. And while open source software is a great example, the open model can be applied to other industries as well. Think about companies that encourage user-generated content or those that actively collaborate with other businesses in their ecosystem.
It's about breaking down traditional barriers and embracing the power of shared knowledge and resources. Now, we've covered a lot of ground here, exploring these different business model patterns, and I have to say it's pretty inspiring. But I'm also wondering, how do these concepts apply to organizations that aren't necessarily driven by profit? What about nonprofits or businesses with a social mission?
That's a great question, and I'm glad you brought it up because business model generation doesn't just focus on for-profit ventures. It also addresses the unique challenges and opportunities faced by nonprofits and businesses that operate with a beyond-profit mindset.
So the business model canvas can be just as valuable for an organization focused on social impact as it is for a tech startup looking to disrupt an industry.
Absolutely. In fact, the 9 elements we discussed earlier can be even more critical for nonprofits because they often have limited resources and need to be laser focused on their mission.
It's about finding a sustainable way to create social good.
Yeah.
You still need to understand your target audience, your value proposition, your resources, and your costs, even if your bottom line isn't measured purely in dollars and cents.
Exactly. And for these organizations, the beyond profit aspect becomes central to their business model. It's not just about what they do, but why they do it and how they measure their impact.
It's about creating value for the community, the environment, or society as a whole. Now that we've explored these different business models, from unbundling to the long tail, from free models to those focused on social impact, I'm eager to dive into the more practical side of things.
Me too. Business model generation doesn't just leave you with a bunch of theory. It equips you with practical tools and techniques to put these concepts into action.
Okay, so let's talk about how we can actually use this information. What are some key takeaways our listeners can apply to their own ventures, whether they're just starting out or looking to shake things up?
One of the most powerful messages in the book, and one that I think every business can benefit from, is the importance of empathy.
Empathy. Now, that's not a word you typically hear in the business world. I usually associate it with, personal relationships, not necessarily business strategy.
Big, right? But in this context, empathy means truly understanding your customers, their needs, their desires, their pain points. It's about putting yourself in their shoes and seeing the world through their eyes.
So it's not just about selling them something. It's about solving a problem for them, providing real value. I like that. What else does the book offer in terms of practical advice?
Well, once you have that deep understanding of your customers, business model generation encourages you to visualize and prototype your ideas.
So get those creative juices flowing, sketch things out, and see what sticks.
Exactly. And don't be afraid to experiment. Create multiple versions of your business model canvas, test different value propositions, and explore different channels. The goal is to bring your ideas to life in a tangible way so you can start getting feedback and refining your model based on real-world insights.
It's like taking those ideas out of your head and putting them to the test. And I love that the book encourages this kind of iterative approach, this idea that you don't have to have all the answers up front. You can start with a hypothesis and then test and refine your way to a stronger business model. What other gems did you uncover in the book that you think our listeners would find helpful?
One thing that really stood out to me was the emphasis on storytelling. Osterwalder and Pinnier argue that a compelling story can make all the difference when it comes to communicating your business model to potential investors, partners, or even employees.
That makes sense. Stories are powerful. They help us connect with information on an emotional level, making it more memorable and engaging.
Exactly. And when you can tell a compelling story about your business, about the problem you're solving, the value you're creating, and the impact you're making, it can make all the difference.
So it's not just about the numbers, it's about the narrative, the human element. And I think that's something that often gets overlooked in the business world. We get so caught up in the data and the metrics that we forget about the importance of connecting with people on a deeper level.
You're absolutely right. And business model generation reminds us that at the heart of every successful business is a powerful story waiting to be told.
I love that. It's a good reminder that even in the business world, we're all human. And we connect with stories. It's how we make sense of the world, how we share our experiences. But speaking of experiences, I'm curious, do Osterwalder and Pinnier offer any specific advice on how to actually craft that compelling business story?
They do. They've got this idea of the business model canvas narrative, which is basically a structured way to tell your story, but you use the elements of the canvas as prompts. So instead of just listing out your customer segments, you actually talk about who those customers are, what their lives are like, what challenges they're facing.
It's about bringing those customer segments to life.
Yeah.
Making them relatable, right? You're not just selling a product or a service. You're offering a solution to a real problem that real people actually have.
Exactly. And it's the same with your value proposition.
Yeah.
Rather than just listing off a bunch of features, you talk about the benefits, the positive outcomes that your product or service, actually delivers.
So it's about painting that picture with your words.
Right.
Creating a narrative that pulls people in, makes them care.
Yeah.
It's about answering that question of why should anyone care about what I'm doing?
Exactly. And the cool thing is this approach, it makes you think about your business in a more, holistic way. You're not just focused on the mechanics of how it works, but also the why behind it, the impact you're making.
I'm really seeing how business model generation isn't just a business book. It's about problem solving, innovation, creating something valuable in the world, thinking differently, challenging what you thought you knew, and being open to new possibilities.
Got it. And the best part is the tools and frameworks they give you, anyone can use them. It doesn't matter if you're running a huge company, launching a startup, or even if you're just trying to make a difference in your community.
It's about empowering people to take their ideas and make them real, to create businesses that are both profitable and, actually meaningful. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave everyone with one final thought. Business model generation is seriously packed with insights and advice, and we've only just scratched the surface today.
I agree. There's so much more to discover in this book. But if I had to pick one key takeaway, it's that building a successful business, it's not just about having an awesome product or service. It's about creating a business model that's strong, that can adapt, one that connects with those customers, uses your resources in a smart way, and lets you make a real impact.
So true. It's about seeing the bigger picture, understanding how all those elements work together to make a business thrive, and never stop innovating, adapting, evolving to stay ahead of the game. Well, that was fantastic. Thanks for joining me for this deep dive into business model generation. And remember, building a successful business is a journey, but with the right tools and the right mindset, you can do incredible things. Until next time, stay curious, keep exploring those innovative ideas, and keep on diving deep.
The Marketing Execution Podcast is produced by Growth Stage Marketing. We are on a mission to see your company reach wild success using marketing pods.
Too big, accept dreams. Catch the buzz and join the execution. Marketing Convo.
Thank you for listening and being a part of the marketing execution movement and community. To learn how growth stage marketing clients reach more buyers and drive business impact, go to growthstage.marketing. That's growthstage.marketing.